Okay, it's Cave. I'm kind of starting early today. I got a real simple setup here. I don't want to intrude on anybody, but I'm going to try to do two. Sorry, I'm erasing these names. I'm going to try to do two live streams today, back to back. We'll see how it works. So I got a real simple setup here. Hope everybody can hear me okay. I'm going to be switching between cameras and using the audio from each of those cameras. So for those that are Patreon members, check your Patreon feeds. I've listed both those videos there. If you're not, then you just have to wait for the updates. So anyway, I'm going to try to do this as quickly and painlessly as possible. Let me get back to my account here. Again, these are going to be two. I'm just going to do two quick little videos. I couldn't decide between the two, so I was like, you know what, let me just do two separate videos that are easier to watch. I'm kind of thinking the hour-long stream might be kind of long for some people, so I'm going to try to break it up a little bit. Let's see, I am looking for... Sorry, I got my TV up here, and I am looking for my live stream so I can see the chat in case... I would try to keep up with the chat as best as possible. Oh, I was already there. Dadgummit. Alright. And there's a chat. Oh, hey, Patricia. How you doing? I see your chat right there. Okay, so today, it's kind of unusual. I thought I'd film it. We are going to reset. I got instructions. I'm making upper and lower spring retainers. And I got instructions to reset to ideal. And look at this open bite. It is crazy. So I'm going to do my best to try and reset this. And he may just, the doctor may just be like, let's just see what we can get with the spring retainers. And we go from there. So his instructions were reset upper and lower to ideal, no stripping, and then making two spring aligners. I'm thinking the spring aligners are going to have to be, maybe super spring aligners with a, I've already drawn one out here, as you can see. So I've already prepped it. I've got a little work to do here. I've got a third camera, so we got two cameras here. I've got a third camera over in the box where I grind things. So I'm going to try my best to, let's see if I can get better. There we go. I'm going to try to get some different views, but I haven't turned that camera on yet. My son had took that camera to go play games on and ran the battery down. So it's charging right now, but hopefully you'll have enough charge that I can start it up and we can start on this. So I've already picked off bubbles on the occlusion so I can get them to seat together better so I can get a good idea. You can see how they sock in the occlusion right there. And then I'm kind of looking, I think I'm going to have to reset 2 to 2 and maybe include this canine right here. You can probably see it's sticking out. It's in crossbite a little bit. So I may include that. But I'm not going to change the design of the spring. The spring will have enough quote-unquote spring to it. It should be able to pull that in. And this will just be regular one. So I've already, so my red line means I do labial acrylic. And this just tells me a regular labial bow. So what I was saying was I was going to reset this and my labial bow is going to go right there. I think with acrylic on it, I think it would be enough to try to pull that canine in a little bit. I've already marked the teeth. That is number one that you need to do, is mark the teeth. I like to use red on the right and then regular pencil color on the left. And I just mark them 1, 2, and I put it on the mesial side of the tooth. So that after you cut these out, especially the lower anterior, they look a lot alike. And you'll see that whenever I cut them out. And of course, the upper I do the same thing, red on the right. I know it's not the patient's right, but my right. Red on the right, and on the left. Regular on the left. So, again, if you're just joining us, I'm doing 2 streams today. One is going to be resetting teeth. The other one's a fixed bite plate. If you're a Patreon subscriber, I've already posted them, and you should get alerts when they start. If not, then you'll just kind of have to pay attention to your YouTube feed. Hello, Raccoon. You wanted me to say your name last time, and I didn't see it in time. Raccoon Lafa 88. Alright, so I've already pre-prepped some of this. I've picked the bubbles off the occlusion so I could put them together pretty easily. I've already drawn out my wires, and I know it's a jumbled mess what you're seeing here, but hopefully you'll be able to. I won't video, maybe I'll video bending this, I don't know. It takes so long for me to bend this. So I've already got my labial bow drawn. And drawing these lines helped me when I go to reset to help keep the level, because you could change the level when you set this in wax and not know it. This I'm obviously going to have to bring down. So I've marked the teeth, I've marked the level, and this gets a mushroom spring also. And this is kind of how I bend my mushroom spring. Again, these are just reference marks for me. The first thing I do is I score between the teeth. And you know what I wanted to do is show you guys me trimming these. It's going to make a mess, but I got my handy dandy pruning shears here. And sometimes I'd like to just trim this. Sorry for the sound. I usually do this over a trash can. As you can see, it makes a pretty good mess. So there's my quick little, so this fits in my model holder better. Alright, so I've trimmed them up. I got a little these cheap little dish rags, trying to keep it clean. I gotta buy a new black cardboard because this one's getting dirty on me. But anyway, so I got that all ready. Did I say it right? Raccoon Lafa 88. It's an interesting name. So this I get from JBC and Company. It's just a little knife. The blades come out so you can change them when they get dull. I even try to sharpen them sometimes. But you can get packs of 5 blades to keep them nice and sharp. We also use this in opening boxes. I call it my little Freddy Krueger knife. I just like it because of the hook on there, and it's so easy to score between the teeth. Try to make sure I get in between the teeth. Now what this is kind of like, if you're not used to this, it's kind of like glass cutting. You're trying to make a score mark or a break mark because you want these to break exactly between the teeth. Another option is now this doctor said no stripping, so I'm doing it this way. If they said stripping, then you could probably just saw between each tooth and make a space anyway as you're cutting it out. But since it said no stripping, I want it to break right between those teeth. One second. This is not the best impressions. I've got some fixing up to do. I don't even know if this tooth is distorted or what, this short one. So that's great about these spring retainers. If you want to see how to bend one and make one, I have a 3-part series. Some of my very first videos, and you can just search up spring retainer in YouTube and find them. And I actually do go over resetting these, but I don't know if I've showed one where I've reset upper and lower together in occlusion. First thing I'm going to do is reset the lower. And I usually reset the lower, set them to ideal, and then I'll reset the upper to match the lower. So it's a 2-part series. Again, here's the shot. Alright. Hold on a second. Let me boot up the other phone and get it ready. Ask your questions now if you have them. Good. We got a little... squeaky floor. Alright, that's booting up. Again, I got a third camera. It's going to be at my trimming station where I've got suction and stuff, so I won't be trimming here and breathing all these dust fumes. And sorry I don't have it booted up so far. Like I said, my kids have been playing with the phone, and it's my wife's old phone. So we usually give our old phones to our kids, and they run down the battery on them all the time. Sorry, guys. Alright, follow me to the other camera. Alright, hopefully you can hear me over the suction. I'm going to have to turn down here. So I have my cameras here, and like I said, I'm going to do the lower one first. And I've got this little drill bit that a friend of mine gave me, a guy I used to work for. Oh, stupid lines. Get out of here. Get out of here. There we go. And actually fits perfectly in my handpiece. Does a great job. If I turn on my handpiece here. Does a great job of drilling in. So I'm going to drill here, usually between the 2 and the 3, and then I'm actually going to go between the 3 and the 4 here. I just realized I just out of habit I didn't score between those teeth, and I didn't mark it, but I can kind of tell what it is. So now I'm going to get my cutting burr here. I'm going to go, this one doesn't, I don't use this one to poke a hole. It doesn't drill very good that way, but it does do a good job of cutting sideways. So I just go in between the teeth, only cutting out the gums, and I'm going to fill in the gums part, the tissue part, with pink wax. Yeah, I'm going to go up. There we go. And I usually like to try to score it a little bit just for wax retention. Yes? Oh, He can come get him. I don't know. I don't see him. That was my wife looking for headphones. We've been listening to... Oh, let me explain what I'm doing here. I am just slowly cutting out the tissue section. Hopefully you can see that. So then it should be able to break off. So I'm just trimming out the tissue section, trying to leave as much tooth as possible. Sometimes they break off easier. And just keep going down the line. There's so many ways to do this. There's people that do it with saws and things like that. Everybody's got their own method. I'm just showing you my method. And it's not perfect, but I like it. I made a little groove here for wax retention again. Probably not necessary, but... Alright, so I'm going to taper these. Just get a regular burr here. And hopefully you can see my angle. I'm just holding at a certain angle. Still not... I don't want to touch the interproximal where the teeth touch each other. I'm just the gums area. This will allow for me to rotate it in the wax. So by tapering that, hopefully you can see this, I got a good space in there. That may not have to do it on all of them, but if right now I'm not dealing with a lot of rotations, but if I was, these are mainly just pushing out and rounding out. Again, I'm just holding it at an angle, not touching this part with my burr. Alright. So I'm not going to cut this one out yet. I'll come right back to it. Okay. Anything happened while I was gone? Alright. As you can see, I'm doing this on the fly. Alright, so we are left with an edentulous patient here. So we get to start over, brand new, fresh. I keep a little bit of wax on my lamp up here, which warms it slightly, keeps it tacky, and I'll just lay it in there. I'm going to use my heatless waxer here. And tack it down. Moved on me a bit. Probably need a little bit more. You can also rub it between your fingers. So this is sticky wax or utility, not sticky wax. This is utility wax. This is sticky wax. Alright. So, I told y'all I don't touch. But hopefully you can tell. See if I can zoom in just a tad. Well, wrong way. Hopefully you can tell it's rough where it broke. And I'm really lucky that it broke. So I'm just going to smooth that just slightly. I'm not taking off anything, I'm just kind of smoothing it. So it's just rough where it was attached to the other tooth. Alright, there we go. And that helps them to slide past one another. So whenever I'm resetting them, they'll be able to slide past one another. Alright, so the fun part. So I usually start on the two ends. And again, this is a little bit different because I'm adding this canine into the reset mix. I don't usually like resetting canines. They're just so hard to reset or to get them to move. So I'm going to start with that one. I'm just going to stick it in there. Just right, and I'll try to line it up. So you're kind of looking at this. I don't know if I have a good pencil for this. Use this red one so everybody can see it. See this line of cusp tips? I'm going to try to just make a natural ridge here. So the next one is a 2. So lower left 2. So I'm looking for it. There we go. Put that in there. Right there. Oh, sometimes you gotta smooth off this on each side. Then I can either go to the other 2. You can see I'm starting to run into a problem. I got 2 teeth left, and there may not be enough room. Alright, so let's move on to the next one. Look at that. I'm running out of room. So I'm going to kick that canine back out. Slide that 2 back into place. There's a little bit of stone left over. There we go. And let's see if we can get this one to squeeze in here. So there we go. We got kind of a... So if I continue on... Now this isn't going to be perfect because this case has some issues. This is still kicked out a little bit. So I'm going to try to push it in, push that 2 out a little bit. This is rotated a little bit, so I'm just going to try and rotate it. There we go. So to set them, my initial set, I'm just going to heat up my little instrument here. And go in between. Getting close. You can kind of see, if I can get that angle just right, you can kind of see how much flared out I'm going. See that? So you gotta make sure you got enough bone down here so that when you flare out, you know, you're not gonna push these teeth out, which the doctor probably would have warned me if that was gonna be an issue. I'm gonna get my pink wax going. I'm making sure nobody's asking questions in the chat. So I like this pink wax. It's a good mixture of it's a good all-weather one. It's not too stiff. It has a little bit of mobility. It's got a good carvability. Of course, the utility wax is very mobile, very easy to move teeth in. So when I'm getting them pretty close to where I want to get them, I use this pink wax, which will allow for smaller movements. But yet hold everything in place. So I've done the inside. This isn't set where I want it yet, but let me accentuate this so you can see. So I'm going to do the outside here. And get this thing super hot. I'm just trying to fill in all the voids with the pink wax. Now, you saw me heat up the wax beforehand, the utility wax that's in there. That does a couple things. That helps, fill in the gaps, fill in the spaces with what's there, and also heats up in between the spaces, because the wax will go to where it's the warmest. Otherwise, it won't get in between the teeth if you don't heat up in between the teeth. Now, Jay Tyler, I don't know if he's watching, he has a video of a pretty cool method where you trim it in such a way where all the teeth are slightly attached, still attached on the lingual, and you fill in all the spaces with sticky wax, or I keep saying sticky wax, pink wax like this. And then once it's stabilized with the pink wax, you just break the teeth and just rotate them slightly. So I use that a lot for minor movements, or if any special instructions like keep this tooth, like the doctor says, keep this tooth where it's at and move all the rest to match it. So I've got it pretty much filled in. I've got a little bit more filling in to do, but let me just do some final. Of course, nowadays you can do this digitally with a scan. Woo! That went out too far. Alright, I kind of like that, how that looks. Again, doctor said no stripping, which I kind of would like to, but since I've flared everything out, usually I have enough room. So let's try this out. Again, my lines that I drew helped me keep them all level. It's kind of difficult because, this one was a little shorter than the rest of them because it was so much further back. But you can kind of see we're about halfway done. And a long way to go. So I don't know how much spring aligner can pull these teeth down, but we're going to try and pull them down, close that bite opening. Maybe the doctor has some tricks up his sleeve that will help with that. So back to the other camera, and we'll cut out these upper teeth. Okay, we're back. So just like before, I'm going to take my little drill here. I don't know the size of this drill. I want to say 5/8, but I could be totally off. But you can see how fast it goes through. And I'm going right between the canine and the lateral, the canine and the lateral. So then I'm going to get my cutting burr here. I get these from Great Lakes, package of 6. These are what they are. I think this is, there are no American marking. They're just cutting burrs. Again, for those who are just now tuning in, I just barely go. I just cut the teeth, the tissue part only. Sometimes on these uppers, it's so thick
facially, lingually, that the burr, you can kind of tell my burr is going to be a little short. So what I may do is just do the front. And I'll do the lingual. Okay, now let me see if I can connect those two. There we go. I like using a foot pedal. I like to use variable speed, so you'll hear my burr, my handpiece speed up, slow down. And to me that keeps it from, sometimes you'll be going so fast with this will actually get clogged up and just start polishing and not cutting. So I like to use variable speed so it doesn't get clogged up like that. So I'm going to just cut little grooves. Probably not necessary, but I just like to think the wax gets locked in there easier. And that way the whole thing doesn't just slide out as a unit. So I'll do the same thing in the upper. Let's cut a little wax groove underneath. And then do the same thing again. I'm going to do it a little different this time. I'm going to do all the facial first. And again, I'm just trimming out, and I'm at this angle. If you can see that angle. Lines are back. But it looks like it's zooming. I'll leave them for right now. Now I'm doing lingual. Now, you gotta keep an eye on that papilla, that lingual papilla right there, or incisal papilla, that poofed out part that you burn on pizza when you eat. If it's really big, you're gonna have to remember to wax it out. So I'm going to connect the two sides. So I've done the front and the back. So you can see those gaps. So then you just kind of squeeze it. And if you've scored it right, it should just break off. And I'm lucky again. I scored it right. Sometimes when I'm filming these, half the tooth will break off with it. It's kind of risky. But as long as you can score it. Again, what I'm doing is I'm just cleaning up a little bit. This allows for you to rotate the tooth in the wax without it bumping up against its neighbor. So you see the space. You can rotate them in the wax. See how it'll bump? And I'm not, again, I'm trying to stay away from the tooth part. The crown of the tooth. I'm just doing in between, I guess, the tissue part. And this is the angle when I'm holding my burr to try to get a little bit of a taper going on here. Alright. Put these in here and we'll move on to the next.
Alright, so I'm just smoothing it out again. Just kind of smoothing out that interproximal area where the teeth touch. I'm sure there's a word and I've already forgot it because I'm live on camera and I can't remember words. So I'm just smoothing. I'm not trying to take off any, because the doctor said no stripping. So, in between the teeth. Alright. Sometimes, depending on the stone, you'll get a lot of crumbs. You could stick it in wax like this, and it will help take off those. Usually I'll have a mound of the
this white wax. Okay, same thing as before. I get this utility wax. I'm going to get 2 strands of it this time, because these actually have to drop down. If you remember, it's an open bite, so there's going to be a lot of wax underneath it. Take my waxing instrument here, my number 7. Okay, so I usually tack it down so that it can, it won't slide around on me. Okay, get a good shot here. So I'm going to start with this number 2. It's red, so now it goes on the right side. I'm just going to drop it down and try to match up my lines. Alright, start with the other number 2. I'm going a little bit over, but I think I was supposed to already start the second one, so y'all might be getting alerts. Again, if you're late watching this, if you're a Patreon, I've listed the links there of where the live streams are going to be. If you're not a Patreon subscriber, check it out. Anyway, you can also subscribe and do the little bell notification, and it will alert you when the thing comes on. So looky there. I've already closed it down. That looks a lot better. And hopefully I'll post some pictures before and after, take some screenshots. But I really like how that has already come together. I didn't have to do much to it. So let me seat this. I usually get my instrument really hot. Again, I want to warm up in between the teeth. If you get too much, just scrape it out. Now, some people will use Zap It. I think I have a video on that. You could look for Z-Base or Zap It videos. You'll probably find mine. This is the part where I'll put some Zap It in between the teeth. And if you hate the teeth coming out after you've built the retainer, sprinkled it, comes out of the pressure pot, and then you go to separate it off the model, and then the teeth all fall out. I hate that. It's a pet peeve of mine. But, you know, what are you going to do? To solve that, you can use a little super glue relative called Z-Base. So those are just tuning in. You gotta be sure and rewatch this once I'm done, or you should be able to back it up now and watch it. This was a major open bite, and this was really flattened out. So it was very difficult. I didn't know how this was going to turn out. It turned out way better than I thought it was. Now I'm just waxing. This is just the final part. Put some pink wax in here. And you gotta... That's the bad thing about that's the bad thing about doing it this way, is you got this gaping hole you gotta fill up. But usually, if you do it right, the cuts you make in your spring retainer are going to be right along this line, so there's not going to be any acrylic there anyway. But before, you remember I said something about the incisal papilla? You got to remember to build that back up.
In other words, it's going to impinge. It's good to overbuild instead of underbuild, and then it impinges on their tissue. And when they go to wear it, it's not going to be very comfortable for them. This is the part of the video where I would fast forward it. There you go. Put that back on there. Now if you want, get in the habit of taking pictures before and after, and you can always reference the picture when you're resetting the teeth. This method is a good method for when the doctor says no stripping. That way, I don't cut between the teeth. I just actually break between the teeth. Let them just break naturally at their natural break point where I've actually scored it, which is right between the teeth. Sometimes what I like to do is I'll take a little bit of a flame, shine up the wax, just to make it look nice. Smooth it out some. I actually need to build here. We're trying to rotate this one tooth. There we go. Okay, so as I finish out this, just want to make sure that y'all know to subscribe. I've got another live stream coming up right after this one. I've decided this time to make 2 live streams, so pay attention. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and click that notification bell so you get notified. If you're a Patreon subscriber, first off, thank you so much. You don't realize how much that helps every month. Your $1 or $2 that you pay to help me produce these videos and help buy this equipment I use for live streaming. So I have listed in the Patreon both of the live stream addresses, so you should be able to find it, or you'll get alert or an email coming up soon. Last little tip. I like to stretch the wax a little bit between the teeth. Remember, I've made a space between there, and I don't want acrylic, because this is going to get labial acrylic front and back. I don't want to get acrylic razor edge in between the teeth. Alright, so I'm going to end it there. It's turned out way better than I thought. Enough to where I think we're going to make a big difference in this kid's life. They're going to close, hopefully it'll close down that, I don't know how well a spring retainer can close down a open bite like that, but I'm sure we're going to try it. Okay? So again, thank you. This is Cade. I'm going to sign off. Again, pay attention. I got another live stream coming up in a couple minutes once I get set up. Alright, see y'all then.